Welcome back to The Promise Made. I am Bob Schuster in the booth tonight with Dave Adams, and we are broadcasting from beautiful, sunny, warm, Central Oregon Bend. And we're having a good time here, and we hope that you've had a great day. This is a live podcast. You're going to be able to call in, ask questions, make comments, give suggestions, tell us about your great successes in your life or your challenges that you might be having right now. And I'm going to turn over for about 90 seconds to Dave to kind of explain to you how you get a hold of us this evening and how this all works. So, Dave?
Thank you very much. Now, Bob, there's a couple ways for people to call in. They can either call in on a regular phone line, 541-323-2882, 541-323-2882, or they can Skype in, and the Skype name is The Promise Made. And if you Skype in or call in, please do not listen to the Skype. Do not listen to the feed on the network, on the internet, because it's going to be about 30 seconds behind real time. When you call in, listen to the Skype call or listen to your phone so you can hear what we're saying. So,
hey, thank you, Dave. Yes, you'll hear on your phone the answer, and then you'll have the opportunity in about 20 seconds after that to hear it live on your computer. Now, tonight, first off, I'd like to review a little bit about what we've been doing the last 3, 4, 5 weeks very quickly. And the Promise Made, where does that come from? Well, that's kind of a passion of mine. My passion is to, and I have a very definite passion that I must help other business people, other people with just their general living questions. In my 72 years, with 45 years of experience in business, I have had a lot of challenges. I've also had some successes, very good successes. I don't want to brag about it because there's nothing to brag about. But I know that there are so many people out there that are having challenges right now in their business. Maybe they're just a startup company. Where do I get, and how do I go from here to there? Or maybe you're a well-seasoned business, and I've coached well-seasoned business people. Might have been in business for 15, 20 years, and they just get to a point where they go, Bob, I don't know how to get to the next level. And we work on that. May be able to solve that in a couple of 3 weeks. It may take a year or longer. There are a lot of challenges that business people and people with their lives are having right now, and especially in this world economy. So that's my passion, is to assist other people.
Can we help you?
Dave's got a call.
Yeah, you have a question for Bob? Hello? Hello? Bill, we're doing a live broadcast now. Can we call you later?
We lost the caller, but that's okay. That's okay. Caller, keep calling back, and we'll try and get this to work for you when you call back. Now, like I said, my mission in life is to help as many people avoid what I call face plants. I used to do some skiing. Anybody that's done any skiing knows what a face plant is. Your skis go out from under you, fall on your face, but you don't quit. You get up and continue on down the hill. I don't like the word failure. So in John 10:10, Jesus promised that he came here not only just to give us life, but to give it to us so that we would have it in more abundance. Now, it didn't say in the Bible that he was going to help you make $1 million or that he was going to help you get 10 kids. He just said that you'd live a more abundant life, what that means to you. But again, we're not going to preach tonight. This is not a preaching. I'm not a minister. I'm not a divinity student. I'm a very casual reader of the Bible, so occasionally I'll mention a verse from the Bible that kind of struck me. And it's not, if you're not a believer, that's okay. This is about business talk. It's about life talk. And I just happen to have found that the Bible has got some real good basics. Now, it's been published more than any other book in history, been around a lot longer than any other book in history, and it's got the secrets that everybody else has made millions and millions and millions of dollars putting together in fancier words, but the basics were there. I think tonight, well, you see here on my desk, or maybe you can't see it. I guess you can't, and that's okay. I'm going to recommend 3 books. I'll refer to them again later, but the first book you need to have in your library, whether you're a believer or not, is the Bible, Old and New Testament. The second book, because it's going to be applicable to what I talk about this evening, is going to be Play to Your Strengths. Play to Your Strengths. It was written, co-authored by a friend of mine, Andrea Sigatich, who lives right here in Bend, and a consultant, a coach to many of the Fortune 500 companies. And her partner, Carol Levin, MBA, college professor out of Utah, or Idaho. That's going to be important read for you, Play to Your Strengths. The other one that I'm going to recommend, and I'll tell you why as we go here this evening, is The Strength Finder 2. Strength Finder 2 by Tom Rath. I got it in front of my face. Okay, that's okay. Strength Finder 2. And I'll tell you why this is a very important book to start with, because we're going to be talking about developing your strengths. Now, over the past 5 weeks, I've discussed, especially in the very beginning, the promise made. And it really strikes me, and that's why my passion. I know that right now so many people are struggling, but the statistics bear me out. This isn't something new. It isn't just this economy that has brought challenges to people in their life. The statistics bear me out on this, and I don't go into them all over again, but most of the people in this country and in the world, in fact, are unhappy with their lives. They hate their jobs. They would just as soon, if there was some other way of making an income, they would do it. Most people, when they reach age 65, are broke. I can give very specific statistics, but you just take that and you can Google it and find out. But so my passion is to help people live a more abundant life. Take advantage of what Jesus promised. I also talked about success and failure. Now, you already know I mentioned tonight that I don't like the word failure. I don't. I don't think most successful people ever fail. Oh, there have been a whole lot of books written and a whole lot of $1 million written about, made telling people how to fail and move forward. I don't believe they failed. Because if you take the definition of success as defined by Earl Nightingale, the Bible, Jim Rohn, you name it, success is a progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Now, if you tried something maybe once, maybe 50 times on your way to having a better life, It may be physically, and well, I can go back to a very specific example, not even in business. How many times, if you've been a smoker, how many times did you try to quit before you finally did? Now, were every one of those attempts a failure? No, I beg to differ. Those were not failures. Had you not tried those 50 times or 150 times, you never would have gotten to the point where you finally quit. You say, well, you're not going to quit on the first attempt. Well, so keep attempting. The same as Thomas Edison had to do with the light bulb. He said, I'm going to make this thing light up and provide people with a source of light. Now, he had to have 1,000 attempts. Now, people call that a failure. No, those were all successes. Had he not done 1,000 successful attempts, he never would have gotten to the 1,001th that really worked. So he didn't fail 1,000 times. He succeeded 1,000 times because they brought him to that point where it worked. Same with your life. You say, well, gosh, I've been a failure all my life. No, it took every one of those. You look back. I'm going to put a caveat on this. If you're happy with your life where it is right now, you like your status. Maybe it's physically, emotionally, relationship-wise, business-wise. If you happen to like where you're at, well, it took every one of those missteps in your life to get you to where you're at. Now, if you're not happy with where you're at, in any one of 20 different categories, physical, spiritual, business, you say, well, I have been attempting, the same as Thomas Edison, I have been attempting to get this under control, to make my life work better, to make my business work better, to lose the weight I wanted to lose, to quit the smoking. Well, then keep doing it. Keep doing it. Those are not failures as long as you don't do one thing. There's only one word, and it's a 4-letter word, that will make you a failure. And that's quit. Quit. Q-U-I-T is the worst 4-letter word in the dictionary. When you quit, then you failed. As long as you keep attempting, the same as Thomas Edison did, or Colonel Sanders, he talked to 600 people about his recipe before somebody said, I'll buy it. Wow. What if he had not talked to the last person and quit? So we've talked about success and failure. Somebody may have told you, you may have thought that you're a failure. Take a good hard look. If you haven't quit, you're not a failure. You're a success. Now, I've also talked about if you're in business, you're thinking about starting a business. I talked to somebody on last Friday about, people will ask me about a business plan. In fact, I had a caller that called in and, a couple of weeks ago and said, now, if I'm going to start a business, do I need a detailed, long-term, detailed plan or a short-range detailed plan? And I said, well, is this a full-time or a part-time business? Well, it's only part-time. I said, have you ever done it before? No, I haven't never done it before. Well, this person on Friday said, after I told her my approach, I'll tell you that in a second, she said, I'll send you a copy of a real business plan that helps you even get money at the bank. Well, I got it. It was several pages. It was very detailed, very detailed. But it was detailed because the person that was writing it already knew what the challenges for this business would be. Had the expertise, had the advisors, had the coaches. But if you're just starting, don't worry about going down to your accountant and have them hit the word processor and wrap you out a 40-page business plan that you're going to give to the SBA that I did 30 years ago, and they go, this is just a bunch of boilerplate. I didn't know what I was doing. So my advice is first, and this person kind of poo-pooed me. She thought I was too basic. Gather around you, if you've never done this business before, gather around you people that have done this business. Whether they've succeeded or they've failed. Taking my definition of failing, quitting. Get a coach, get a mentor, talk to somebody that knows this business or knows about starting a business. Get some disciples, people that care about you and that will share their wisdom and their knowledge with you. And once you get that, then you can say, oh, now I understand. Okay, I've got to look at this. I've got to look at that. I got to plan for this. I got to plan for that. And before you get that advice, you're not going to know what to plan for. So we've talked about that. And that comes, again, Scripture. I can go to Proverbs 24:27, and it says, prepare your fields, do your outside work, and then build your house. And my favorite analogies are the farmers. In the wintertime, they're getting their equipment ready for the springtime, because the springtime is a short period in which to plant. They don't worry about the harvest, they worry about getting planted. Your harvest will come if you do a good job of planting. We talked about that. And I've heard people, and you probably have too over the years, go, well, God provides for the birds of the air. He'll provide for you. And they really misinterpret that. They think that all they have to do is sit back in their easy chair, pray, read the Bible, and all of a sudden the mortgage payment will get taken care of. That's not how it works. That's not how God works. Matthew 7:7 says, ask, seek, and knock. God says you got to get out of your nest. I provided the insects and the berries for you for food, but you got to get out of your nest or you're going to die in your nest. Now tonight, I want to talk about passion. We've got a call coming in. I'll wait till Dave tells me what it is. We're going to talk about passion, because passion, your passion, is the key to your success. Without it, you're going to end up in the 97% who at age 65 or retirement age, whatever you want, wherever you want to put it, are broke, dead, or both. Dave says somebody's calling in here and wants to chat. So let's see what they've got on their mind. Dave?
Casey's on the phone.
Casey.
Hey, Bob.
If I can't hear her question, then Dave will repeat it. Because I'm 72. I don't hear as good as I did when I was 22. So,
okay. Well, my question for you is...
says he'll get this set up just in a second. So,
Casey, hi.
Okay, Casey, how are you doing?
Good, good. I was wondering if you could possibly expound a little bit on a mentor It's my understanding that a mentor doesn't always have to be somebody that's hands-on. Sometimes our mentors could be a John Maxwell or a Jim Rohn. Yet, when we do have a mentor, they might not be in the same business, but they might be able to show us ways to be successful in spite of the fact that it may not be.
I'll let Dave repeat it. My ears are quite a ways away from the mic.
Okay.
Okay. What she's asking is about mentors, and could you repeat the question? I'll turn it up.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I can. Casey, go for it.
Can you please expound on the importance of, even if you don't have a mentor, hands-on mentor, that a lot of people might use a mentor via a great leader, a John Maxwell, a Jim Rohn, or several, because they have so many materials to study that will help you get to success, as well as sometimes mentors may not be in the same business as you, but they will know how to keep going and reach successes that can encourage you during times of lulls.
Well, Casey, that was a multi-layered question. I love it. A hands-on coach is very important in the beginning. I really believe that. Now, it takes nothing away from John Maxwell, Jim Collins, Jim Rohn, Vic Johnson, any of the great gurus in coaching. It takes nothing away from them, but that is the second part of it. I believe that it's very important to have a hands-on person, if you've got one. There are generally people available, and you have to do some research. You need to ask and ask and ask, seek and knock and ask. You might even try Squirrel, the retired business people. That's free. But once you've decided to be in business, or before it, which is a big mistake I made, I didn't even know it was a mistake. I went to college, I got a degree. I figured I didn't need, I knew enough, huh? Well, for 40 years I didn't read. I didn't learn. I gained wisdom. I learned from my face plants, but I have to encourage you, Casey, not only to take someone who is local available to you, but to continue to research. Research. You've gained wisdom, but wisdom without constant research is really lacking. So continue to read the great ones, and you mentioned John Maxwell, Jim Rohn. They are some of the greatest, and will give you great material. So, Casey, my advice: get somebody hands-on. Look for them, find one, and that's your best asset. And continue to research while you're doing it. How's that? Or did you hang up? Oh, she hung up, but now she's waiting for the answer. She knows it's going to come 20 to 30 seconds later, and so she'll hear my long-winded answer. I really appreciate you calling in. And I don't know if, I'm going to go off track here for just a second. I don't know if my two children and my wife are having to turn the computer on tonight and are listening, but I want to say hi to my wife, Betty Jean, and my two children, Wyatt Paul and Abilene Rose. So if you're listening, if you're watching Dad, hi, how the heck are you? I love you both, all three, very much. So let's get back to strengths. They're my big strength. Someone that loves you is a big strength. But Benjamin Franklin said, "Do you value life? Then waste not time, because that's the stuff that life is made out of." Do you value life? Then waste not time, for that's the stuff that life is made of. I know when I was 30, 35, 40, 40 was a big turning point. I go, oh gosh, I thought I was going to be there by the time I was 40, but I sure wasn't. But when we're younger, we think we've got all the time in the world. We don't know how much time we've got. And now that I'm 72, you've got no idea how fast those, unless you're my age, know how fast those first 72 years go. And you look back and you say, did I make good use of the time that I was given? That's very important. Your Maker gave you X amount of time, and he gave you X amount of talent. He expects you to use it wisely. Expects you to use it wisely. I'm going to ask Dave. He's got something coming up here before I go any further. He's got a couple of very important events coming up in the next week. And Dave, if you would take the time to mention what those are.
Yeah, one of the events we want to mention is Memorial Day is coming up on Monday, May the 30th, and we are going to be at the Heroes Memorial in Bend. Well, first of all, that day at 11 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be at the Redmond Cemetery, and there's going to be, I believe Senator Ron Wyden will be there speaking, and we are going to be there covering it. We're going to be recording it and putting it up on our website, OperationEaglesWings.us, and you'll be able to see that there and on YouTube just a few minutes after it happens. And after we do that, we're going to come to the Bend Heroes Memorial from 1 to 6 p.m., and that's Monday, May 30th. And if you're listening in Bend or Central Oregon, we're inviting you to stop by the Heroes Memorial and share with us what Memorial Day means to you. It could be, what it means to be an American. It could be what it means to, have somebody serving right now overseas. Just what goes through your mind on Memorial Day. And it's going to be a Community Remembers. And we're going to be at the Bend Heroes Memorial, and we're asking you to stop by and share your views with us. So we'll be doing some remote broadcasting on Monday, May 30th. Do want to remind you also a separate event we're working on right now is 9/11 Remembered, A Nation Unites for Freedom. It's going to be a day-long remembrance event with music, tributes, food. We're going to have some fun, but we're also going to remember that thousands of people paid with their lives as this nation was attacked a decade ago. I remember 9/11 very well, and I'm sure, Bob, you do too. And it's a day in this nation's history that we shouldn't forget. And our plans are to make this an annual event for the Eagles Wings. And Operation Eagles Wings is a news network we have for veterans, telling the stories of veterans and what they're going through right now, and paying tribute to them. So 9/11 Remembered, a community remembrance event at the Les Schwab Amphitheater with music, food, tributes, honoring first responders and the military. And so we invite you to stop by. It's going to be 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., so it's going to be all day. Sunday's 9/11. 9/11 is on a Sunday this year. So those are two events that are coming up on our calendar that we want to make mention of. We do have posters here at Operation Eagles Wings, the Jesus Network, and EVM Media. We're all here in the same building, 711 Butler Market Road in Bend. And you can stop by and pick up posters if you want to help spread the word and spread those posters around town. And we do appreciate your support. These events cost money to put on. So if you join us in the reason why we're doing it, and the reason why we're doing it is to remember the people who pay the ultimate price to keep us free. And if you join us in the passion to remember this date, then we could use your donations and help defray the costs that we incur for these events. Some of the costs, especially for the 9/11 event, are quite significant, but people are stepping up and helping us pay the bill because they also believe in what we're trying to do. So, Bob.
Got some great things going, Dave, and I love your spirit, and I love your passion and your ministry. It's all about helping other people. Now, we're talking about strengths, finding your strengths, because that's what's going to make the difference in the end when you say, I have finished well. I have finished my life well. And you're going to return to your Maker and say, I have used the talent or talents that you gave me. And you know that your Maker will be proud. He'll say, well done. Now, what is your passion? What are your strengths? There's one way that I can give you a lot of easy answers, but I'm going to, as the caller said about good books and the necessity of reading and staying up to date, I'm going to recommend again that you start with StrengthsFinder 2. It's at Barnes & Noble. It's a very big seller, and inside the book, it's going to give you a special code where you can take a test online. And it's going to reveal to you your top 5, what they call strengths, but they're actually talents that they hope with effort, practice, concentration, that they will become strengths. And that is something that you can do consistently that will always turn out well. Now, I personally took this test, and it didn't really surprise me, but I'm telling you, my top strength, talent, which I'm turning into a real strength, is something that never would have been there 10 years ago. This can change. My number one strength, really talent, is as a learner. Now, I mentioned that for about 40 years I didn't read a dang book. But the last several years I've been an avid learner. I know that I don't know everything. I've got a lot of wisdom, but I need to add some knowledge, some additional knowledge. And as the caller called in, I've added John Maxwell and a whole bunch of others. Okay, but my top one is learner, and that's the truth. I love it. I absolutely love learning. So buy the book, take the test, and it'll reveal to you something that you may not be aware of. The other book that I'm going to recommend, and like I said, it's co-authored by one of my friends, acquaintances, Andrea Sigatich. It's called Play to Your Strengths. Play to Your Strengths. It's a fun book because it's set up around poker hands. So it's not only a very informative, but a very fun book. And it'll give you some ideas on how you should go about your day so that you maximize your assets, time, knowledge, wisdom, contacts. You'll want to maximize your strengths or your talents and make them strengths. And if you take the Pareto rule, the 80-20 rule, you've all heard about the 80-20 rule. It was actually taken up here in the United States and around the world now as a result of a study that was done by Alfredo Pareto, an Italian, back in the early 21st century, 1905 or somewhere around there. He was wondering, and he did some research to find out how the wealth was allocated amongst the Italian population. And he found that 80% of the wealth was really owned by 20% of the people. And we apply it in business, and you apply it in your personal life, and it works both places very well. If you take a look at your agenda for the day, and your agenda for today determines your future, take a look at what you've got written down. Most often, most of us spend 80% of our day creating 20% of the real results. We're really not working in our strength zone, our talent zone. We're wasting. Don't like that word either, but that's what happens. We waste most of the time that we've got. As I mentioned, when you're 25, 35, you think that you've got all the time. And then all of a sudden, you're closer to the end than you are the beginning, and you go, what in the world happened? Jim Rohn had a favorite comment. He asked a guy one time, he said, what are you doing? And the guy says, well, I'm just killing time. Sitting here killing time. And Jim went, oh my Lord, you're killing time? Do you know how little you've got and you're killing some of it? Now that may be kind of funny, but how many of us have spent a lot of our lives, maybe our day-to-day, just killing time? Don't want to do that. Define what your true values are in life. What are your real true values? Make a mission statement. I've got one. My mission is to help as many people, whether it's personally or in business, to avoid as many face plants as they can so that they can succeed. From some of the wisdom that I've gained, not only from some successes, but more importantly, from some of my numerous face plants, personally and in business. That's my passion. That's my purpose, is to help other people. That's the talent that God gave me that I didn't, well, I used all my life, but casually. Casually. The last several years, I'm using it passionately. Doing whatever I can, wherever I can, whenever I can, to assist other people. That's why I'm here tonight. If I make myself available. And you've got assets. Think about them. We all have assets. Whether you're a company or personally, you have assets. Bundle them. Put them together. Say, well, I'm really good at this, and I'm really good at that, and I'm pretty good at this, I'm pretty good at that. Bundle them together the same as Microsoft does to make a good program. They bundle a lot of great products to make one very, very good system. So bundle your assets. Don't try and just work on one. Now, money is a measurement that is used in our economy and our society to measure. It's used to measure how well we have used our assets. I had a gentleman come up to me at a meeting last week, and he says, "What kind of sales were you in?" I said, "Why the question?" He says, "Well, I'm thinking about getting back into a certain field that involved a lot of sales expertise. In fact, it was insurance. Never been in insurance," I informed the gentleman. "Never been in insurance, but sales is sales. Especially when you're talking about, to the general public, a product, whether it be real estate or insurance, computers. Well, now you walk into a store and buy a computer, so that's not a really good example. But especially insurance and real estate, those are intensive. They're intensive. And they take a certain type of personality to be good at it, so that it monetizes well for your time, effort, and for your family." And I said, because I know this gentleman, he's very shy. Not something that he really wants to do is to get on the phone. And I know people in real estate, and whether it's real estate or insurance or mortgage or you name it, financial advising, you got to make a lot of phone calls. You got to make a lot of contacts. Jesus knew he was going to have to make a lot of contacts to spread the Father's word. So he found 12 apostles and a lot of disciples, and he said, "Spread the word around the world." He knew he couldn't do it by himself, even though he was the Son of God. So when you're thinking about doing something, think about your strength zone. Talk to other people that know you well, your wife, your husband, your children, if they're old enough, friends and neighbors who know you well, and say, "How do you think I'd do in that type of profession?" And they go, "You're thinking about doing what?" Now, if they're just naysayers, you got to know the difference. But if they're talking about very specific personality traits, and you're not talking to somebody that goes, "Oh, I tried that once, it don't work." No, you know the difference. That somebody can give you good, sound advice, guidance. Don't listen to the naysayers. Stay away from the water cooler. Let me tell you, or ask you a question. If you're thinking about, okay, I don't know exactly what my real talent or strength zone is, here's one thing that might work. If I asked you and offered you, let's say I offered you $10 million today, and the only string that's attached is that you would have to do and work at a profession, whether it be by yourself or with a corporation or whatever it might be. You're going to have to do what you choose to do for the rest of your life in order to get the $10 million. Now, what would you choose to do? You say, holy cow. I've been in real estate, insurance, mortgage brokering, making a living. I can get $10 million, but I got to do this for the next 30 years? Oh, that's a commitment I can't. I better think of something else. Yeah, think of something that you really are passionate about. Something that you say, oh my God, $10 million, that would pay my mortgage and my car payment, and in fact, it'd pay them off. I wouldn't have to worry about a thing financially for the rest of my life with $10 million. I know what I'm going to do. And you'd kind of have that, I don't mean to sound juvenile, but it does. You know, you'd kind of have that, yippee skippy, I'm going to do this. You go, wow, this is really cool. I get to do what I've always wanted to do. Yeah. What is that came to your mind when I offered you the $10 million? Yeah, we'll make it tax-free. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going to offer you the $10 million. Something came to mind. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out there and do that tomorrow because I haven't got $10 million to give you. Okay. But I'm just using it as an example to make us think about what it is that we're really passionate about. I'm doing this with no assurance of any money at all, and so is Dave. We're just passionate about doing that. But you know what? Our Father said, don't worry about it. You go out there and ask and seek and knock and use the talents I gave you. You will be rewarded here on earth and in heaven. That's a promise. That's the promise that Jesus made also. So I don't have to preach. That just makes common sense, doesn't it? So find something that really tickles the death out of you, and you say, could really be good at that. I mean, that lights my fire. Can you imagine getting out of bed in the morning knowing that you had $10 million in the bank and now you were being forced to do something that you are really good at and you love? Rather than getting out of bed in the morning and going, oh, God, another day to make enough money to make the mortgage payment, to make my car payment, to buy some food. That's not fun. And I'm saying, if you find that thing, that talent, and you can, you just got to realize that you've got $10 million in the bank. And then be determined to be the best within your niche. I don't care what the niche is. If it's insurance, if it's real estate, if it's making widgets, if it's becoming a preacher, going to the seminar, I don't care what it is. Becoming the best bicyclist in the world, whatever you decide to do, decide to become the best in your niche. Not like the rest of the world today, which is commoditized. I mentioned that about 5 weeks ago. Just being another commodity will not work. What's the difference when you look for a good real estate or a good insurance or a good financial advisor or a good church, a good cup of coffee, a good ice cream cone? You know, and for me it'd be chocolate. Where can I find some good chocolate? You don't want to just be one more coffee stand, one more title company. What's the difference? They're all the same. They're all regulated. But one does better than the rest because I've got a saying, don't be a commodity, be an oddity. Be different. There's no one else here in town, maybe in the world, hopefully not in the world, that are doing what Dave and I are doing. And if they are, stand by, because we intend to be the best. That's it. We intend to be the best at what we do. I don't do what Dave does. He doesn't do what I do. We each have our own passion. We each have our own talents. I couldn't even turn these microphones on. I'm not a pastor. I can't preach the Bible. But I've got my talents. I love coaching. I love teaching. I love giving seminars. I love one-on-one. I love getting up before a nonprofit group and giving a pro bono talk at lunch or breakfast or dinner. I love sharing the wisdom that God has given me. And don't ever think it's too late. It's never too late. Unless you quit. It was too late when the master came back and said, I gave you one talent. How you doing with it? So, well, I still got it. I buried it. Never used it. I still got it, and I'm coming back to you with it. Then it's too late. Then it's too late. You're never too old to find your talent, to find your true passion, and put it in the market. And there is a way to monetize everything. Somebody will pay you for your talent. Don't worry about the money. Don't chase your pension, chase your passion. That's the most important thing. So, in closing tonight, we've talked about strengths. Finding your strength. Finding your talent. I gave you several examples. Hopefully, encouragement. It's never too late because the promise was made. There was no date put on it. We talked about preparing your fields, being ready. Do your research. Get good advice. Not from naysayers, but from people that really care and love you and are willing to talk straight. And remember, you must be proactive. You must, and if it's about starting with finding your strength and your talent, you've got to be proactive. You've got to ask, seek, and knock. On that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave and I say, God bless you. Thanks for calling in this evening. And I look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday, same place, same time. And until then, the Lord be with you. Dave?
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for those good words of knowledge tonight. We do want to remind you can see this show again. We're going to put it up on YouTube here in just a bit, and you'll be able to access that on our website. And, of course, every Tuesday night, live at 7 p.m., and we're also working on taking this on the road, doing a road show, and getting out in the community and doing the same kind of giving good advice in a room full of people. And we're looking forward to doing that. We'll more details on that when it comes up. Again, we do want to remind you that Monday, Memorial Day, we're going to be out and about at 11 a.m. We'll be at Redmond at the cemetery, and we'll be recording the ceremony there. They're going to have some dignitaries speak. We'll have that posted on our website and YouTube. And then from 1 to 6 p.m. on Monday, Memorial Day, we're going to be at the Bend Heroes Memorial. That's just west of the Newport Avenue Bridge in Bend. And we're inviting members of the public to stop by and share with us what Memorial Day means to you. And we're going to put them all together, put them up on YouTube. In fact, when you stop by and give us your comments, in just a few minutes we'll have them up. And anybody in the world will be able to watch them. And so share with us what Memorial Day means to you. Is it patriotism? Is it remembering a son or a daughter that is serving now in the military? Is it remembering a son or daughter who was lost in service to our country? If it is, our hearts go out to you, and Memorial Day has a special meaning to you. So as a country, we just think it's really important at least once a year on Memorial Day, and for some more often than not, to pause and remember. Because the people in that jetliner that went down in that field in Pennsylvania, they gave their lives to probably, they believe, save the White House. They stood up, and one man said, "Let's roll." And they have a place in history. But when they got on that airplane, it was just life as normal. But they had to make a choice, and they did. And they gave their lives for this country. Someday we may be asked to make the same decision. However, we need to honor that decision, and we need to remember it and simply just not pass it off as something that happened in history and fades into the annals of history. We don't need to live there, but we do need to occasionally go back there and honor their memory. So that's what we're going to be doing on Memorial Day, and invite you to join us for that. On that note, Bob, have a great evening. The Promise Made, live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. right here on any one of three venues, either TJN, the Jesus Network, Operation Eagle's Wings, or live on our webcast. So, Bob, have a great
Thank you, Dave. God bless.